Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Asian Football Show. I am joined with my wonderful friend Erfan. We are back here with episode number 7, and this episode is going to be a heavy one. There is a lot to talk about, and yeah, I'm excited. How do you feel, Erfan?
Yeah, I'm very excited. As you said, there's a lot to cover today, including the international break, the club competitions, which have recently started in Asia, and much more. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Arya, can you take us through the international break friendly results in September?
Yeah, so there's actually been a lot of there's been a lot of abnormal results and a lot of great results as well. So Australia did 2-2 against Mexico, which is a pretty respectable scoreline. Qatar lost 2-1 against Kenya, which is a very weird result, a very abnormal one. But they drew 1-1 to Russia. So there's clearly something that's not working. Saudi Arabia lost 3-1 to Costa Rica, and they also lost 1-0 to South Korea, continuing their very, very bad 2023 in terms of just results. They have
Yeah,
no.
not a good start for them under Mancini.
Yeah, everyone was looking forward for Mancini to kind of rebuild the squad for the Asian Cup coming up in the next few months, but yeah, doesn't look good at all. South Korea with a, like I said, 1-0 result against Saudi Arabia and a 0-0 result against Wales. I'm not too sure what to think about that. The Iranian national team played against Bulgaria, won that game 1-0, and they also played against the mighty Angola, winning 4-0. And then we got arguably the best results out of this matchday friendlies, I would say, is Japan winning 4-1 against Germany and winning 4-2 against Turkey. China doing 1-1 against Malaysia, and Syria winning 1-0 against China. Vietnam winning 2-0 against Palestine. Norway just absolutely destroying a Jordanian side 6-0. A little bit disappointed in Jordan. I thought they would put up a fight, but Norway were just way too good. They also lost against Azerbaijan, so they went down 2-0 against European sides. The UAE winning 4-1 against Costa Rica. That's a very, very good scoreline.
Yeah, very good result, especially to a Costa Rica side who beat Saudi Arabia just a few days before. The UAE played really well. So yeah, props to them. I'm
Kuwait,
happy with that result.
Kuwait winning 3-1 against Bahrain, but losing 3-1 against Kyrgyzstan. Bahrain and Turkmenistan doing 1-1. Oman winning 2-1 against Palestine, and then getting destroyed by the USA 4-0. And then Uzbekistan losing 3-0 to the USA. I want to talk a little bit about the Uzbek national team. Now I watched that game, the 3-0 game. The score is definitely not what was reflected in the performance. I think Uzbekistan literally deserved a draw out of that USA game. They were very good. They were very, very good. So the scoreline suggests something completely that did not
Yeah,
happen.
from what I saw, they didn't take their chances. Am I right, Arya? In
Yeah,
saying
and
that?
the last two goals came very, very late. So
Mm.
I think at that point they were just done with the game, anyways. But I would have said a 1-1 would have been perfect. But they did draw 3-3 against Mexico. Now, albeit Mexico kind of being in a little weird position since the World Cup, they haven't been to the best, but still, a 3-3 result against Uzbekistan is very, very respectable. And Uzbekistan were actually leading the game, which is very notable to know. And then Hong Kong winning 10-0 against Brunei, Afghanistan doing a 0-0 and a 1-1 draw against Bangladesh, and then losing 2-1 to the Philippines, which is a pretty decent result too, to be honest, despite them losing.
Yeah. So I think the main point we want to talk about here is Japan. Am I right, Arya? With
Yeah,
their
I
amazing window.
I watched both games. Now against Germany, I would stand here and say that it is a very weak German national side. Let's put that to light. We all have to be honest with ourselves. That Germany
Mm.
team is horrendous. And I've been following the German national team for a very long time. Players just don't seem like they care. The manager Hansi Flick, I love him. I'm a Bayern Munich fan. Have no idea what he's trying to do with Germany. I don't see a vision with this German national team. So I was expecting them to lose or maybe tie the game. I was not even expecting Germany to win from the start. That's how bad I think they are at the moment. But I wasn't expecting a 4-1. That's for sure. Japan was great, amazing. They showed they showed Germany that if you don't put in the effort, we'll beat you. That's exactly what they did. And against Turkey, it's
Germany just couldn't keep up with Japan,
exactly.
especially towards the end of the game where they got,
But
I think
but
it was 2 goals at the end.
yeah, and you can clearly see Germany just gave up. They
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gave,
that led to Hansi Flick getting sacked at the
yeah.
end.
And then against Turkey, I mean, it's surprising to say, but Turkey was more of a challenge to Japan than Germany. It was a very interesting game. I think Japan looked less better against Turkey than it did against Germany, but still managed to get the win. So that's my comments for the Japan games, and yeah, kudos to them. They were very good, fantastic.
Yeah, uh, very good for Japan there. Amazing window for them. Now moving on,
Actually,
Iran also play. Yeah,
one more thing I wanted to add is I think there was this one player that was a little disappointing for me, and that was Kyogo Furuhashi against Japan. I not against with Japan, sorry.
with Japan. Yeah.
I think he could have done a little bit better. I've heard a lot of Japanese fans not being particularly too fond of how he was playing, so um, we're gonna have to wait and see on what the striker, you know, um, situation is because they've got a fair few bit of strikers that might lead the front in the Asian Cup. So is it going to be Furuhashi, Maeda? Is it going to be Ayase from Feyenoord? There's a
I
lot.
heard that Cuba barely played as well, right?
Yeah,
He didn't get much game time.
Yasu is
Just shows how stacked they are in attack. Just
exactly,
shows the quality they have.
and he's very selective with who he chooses. He's not the type of guy to like constantly rotate the squad, as in if he sees this one guy isn't having a good game, he's not just going to replace him immediately. From what I've seen, at least, he does rotate the squad quite a bit, though. But I don't know. The striker position is something Japan has. I wouldn't say lacked. They've always had quality strikers, but there's never been that one guy who is always starting 100%. If that makes sense. There's also been I don't know if you remember that whole Yuma Suzuki debacle a few years ago with Moriyasu. So it's just when it comes to the striker position with the Japanese national team, there's always something going on, right?
Yeah, of course. Um, and then Iran played away in Bulgaria. They won 1-0. Should have been a very, very different scoreline. It should have been like 3 or 4 goals at least for Iran. They missed a lot of other opportunities. And then they won 4-0 in the Azadi Stadium. Moving on, South Korea. Finally, they got their first win under Jurgen Klinsmann. They won against another Asian team. They won against Saudi Arabia in St. James Park in Newcastle. So yeah, what do you think, Arya? Could this be a turning point for South Korea and Klinsmann, or do you think um, they're still going to have issues going to the Asian Cup?
They're still gonna have issues going to the Asian Cup because they're. I made a video actually about this just a few days ago. I think the Korean national team is in trouble. We've discussed it in the past. It's not convincing enough. It's not. Yes, Saudi Arabia is in quote unquote a good Asian side, but they've also been struggling. Um, so it's not a huge accomplishment, in my opinion. They had a good draw against Wales, which was 0-0, but I don't know. I'm just still not convinced with Klinsmann. I don't think he's got what it takes to bring them to Asian Cup glory.
Asian Cup winner. Yeah, I agree with you. Now, moving on to not a friendly game, but a friendly tournament actually. The 49th Kings Cup was held in Thailand this month, and Thailand, Lebanon, Iraq, and India participated. Thailand won the semi-final against Lebanon 2-1, and then Iraq won the other semi-final against India 2-2. The game ended 2-2, and India played very, very well. Actually, I watched that game, and Iraq needed 2 penalties, with one of them being a very questionable one, to take the game to penalties, which they won 5-4 at the end. In the third place playoff, Lebanon beat India 1-0. And in the final, again, the game ended 2-2, with Iraq ultimately winning the game on penalties. Now, the international window out of the way, let's move on to the AFC U23 qualifiers for the 2024 U23 Asian Cup. So I'll go through the groups real quick. In Group A, Jordan topped the group and they qualified for the final tournament. Oman, Syria, and Brunei, they missed out. In Group B, South Korea qualified for the final tournament, where Kyrgyzstan and Myanmar failing to qualify. In Group C, Vietnam, they qualified. Yemen, Singapore, and Guam missed out. In Group D, Japan qualified. Palestine, Bahrain, and Pakistan did not. Group E, Uzbekistan qualified with 9 points out of 9. Iran missing out, which is probably the biggest shock of the tournament. Afghanistan and Hong Kong as well. In Group F, Iraq and Kuwait, both with 7 points. They qualified for the final tournament. East Timor and Macau did not. Group G, the UAE and China qualified. India lost both their games, and the Maldives withdrew. Group H, Thailand and Malaysia qualified. Philippines and Bangladesh did not qualify. And Group I, Australia and Tajikistan both qualified with 4 points. Tajikistan managing to get a draw against Australia, so good result for them. Laos and North Korea did not qualify. And then in Group J, Saudi Arabia qualified with 3 wins out of 3. And Cambodia, Lebanon, and Mongolia missed out. And finally, in Group K, Indonesia won both their games against Turkmenistan and Chinese Taipei to qualify. So yeah, Iran missed out on the tournament, and they're still not going to qualify for the Olympics after how long has it been? Like 40, 50 years? What do you think of that, Arya?
I'm disappointed. But I'm also not particularly a fan of how this qualifier, like, and the system. I'm not a fan of it. I don't agree with the fact that only one team has to go ahead and then there's like the second place playoff. That just doesn't make sense to me, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people have the same the same opinion. We had a tough group. Uzbekistan's youth side are always great. But what I'm disappointed in is, and I've said this, you have proof of this in the group. We have an Iranian football chat group, and I've said winning 3-0 against Hong Kong and 4-0 against Afghanistan is not enough, because ultimately you see Uzbekistan scoring 8 and 10 and all these sort of things, right? The goal difference is huge compared to ours. That's why I'm a little bit disappointed, and that all comes back down to the players and the coaches and stuff. From the Hong Kong game, it was so obvious the players didn't care. They did not care. It was so obvious. We won that game against Hong Kong 3-0. I think Hasbavi Horbani, and if I haven't forgotten, I think it was Said Manesh who scored the third goal. And this is another sad thing. We had players from the senior team go into that under-23 team, and they still failed to qualify. It's embarrassing, but ultimately, I would say they deserve it. That's what happens when you don't take these sort of things seriously. Doesn't matter if you have Hong Kong or Afghanistan in your group. Bro, smash them 10-0. You can smash them 10-0 easily. Do it. Don't play a lackluster game, winning these games 4-0 and that's really them not trying. That's why I'm disappointed, and I would say they deserve it. That's what I would say.
Actually, Iran. Yeah, sorry, you can go on.
It's just I'm just disappointed, but that's what happens when you don't put the effort in.
Yeah, if Iran scored one more goal against Afghanistan, a 5-0 win, even that would have been enough to qualify. But going back to what you said at the beginning, this qualifying system for Asian youth tournaments is just very, very out of place. I mean, first of all, the groups are very unbalanced. There are some groups with 3 teams, there are some groups with 4 teams. For the runners-up, to the game against the last place team does not count. And I don't think that's very fair. Iran got eliminated on fair play points. So, yeah, they got eliminated because of, I think it was 2 yellow cards. I think maybe, and also the games are held in a centralized location. It's not being played home and away. And that's another thing to add. So, yeah, I think AFC should definitely look into this, maybe improve the qualification system for youth tournaments. And even if it's not for the U20 and U17 sides, at least for the U23, which is very important because it's the Olympic qualifiers at the end. Now, moving on to another U23 tournament, the Asian Games have kicked off in Guangzhou, China this month. And the group stages for the Asian Games men's tournament have finished. I'll go through the groups right now. In Group A, China, India, and Myanmar advanced to the knockout stage. Bangladesh eliminated. Group B, Iran and Saudi Arabia, both with 7 points, advanced to the knockout stage. Vietnam and Mongolia eliminated. And Group C, and this is another example of Asian football and how much of a mess it is. The group was originally Uzbekistan, Hong Kong, Syria, and Afghanistan. But Syria and Afghanistan withdrew. So it just left Uzbekistan and Hong Kong. So they just played 2 games against each other, and they both advanced to the knockout stage, no matter the results. So yeah, very, very messy like always. And then another situation here in Group D: Japan, Palestine, and Qatar. All 3 of them advanced to the knockout stage. In Group E, South Korea, Bahrain, and Thailand advanced, with Kuwait finishing last. Group F, North Korea finally making their return in international football. They topped the group 3 wins out of 3. Kyrgyzstan and Indonesia also qualified to the knockouts, and Chinese Taipei were eliminated. So that would leave us with the round of 16, and the round of 16 games are China against Qatar, South Korea against Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Indonesia, India, Saudi Arabia, and on the other side of the bracket, Iran versus Thailand, Hong Kong versus Palestine, Japan, Myanmar, and North Korea versus Bahrain. Anything you want to add to that, Arya?
I think, coming back again to the under-23 side, which we were just speaking about, this whole Iran thing. I think they took the Asian Games a little bit more seriously. And I think they kind of,
I mean, if they win gold, they will get exempt from military service. So it's very important to the
it's
young
true.
guys.
But like what I mean is you can definitely see that they took that a lot more seriously than the qualification, which again is, in my opinion, ridiculous. But I think one group that I was very surprised with was North Korea, just absolutely smashing every team.
Yeah, they returned after like 3-4 years to international football and just did what they did.
South Korea doing well, Japan doing well. Japan, actually, if I'm not mistaken, they barely won against Palestine. I think they,
1-0 win.
but I do think it's because they did get this one red card, which really affected them the whole game. And there's this one guy who really caught my attention. His name is Tepe Yashida. He's been fantastic throughout the group stages, which I think he deserves his own shouts. Uzbekistan, winning 2-1 against Hong Kong. And I think the other result was so they only played Hong Kong, right? But the results weren't very amazing compared to what they had done.
I think Uzbekistan sent a weaker team
It's what I was
compared to the Asian qualifiers, because some of their main players, like Hoseiny, for example, he plays in the French league, he plays for RC Lens, and he's not with them right now.
Is there any player that for you completely stood out?
Well, I wasn't able to catch most of the games, but for the Iran games, Nourizadeh played really well for the Mehdi Nourizadeh. He's going to play in Golgohar. And they should have actually won the game against Saudi Arabia as well. They played so much better. They deserve that win. So I'm happy they're doing a bit better. Maybe it's because there's some older players in the squad now, because you're allowed to have up to 3 overage players. The experience of Hoseiny and Motahari may be helping them do well so far. Now let's move on to the other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to also point out a few other players that stood out. So actually, I don't know if you know Woo Young-jung from Stuttgart is actually playing in the Asian Games. He had a hat trick against, I think it was Kuwait, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been pretty good. I think Sunil Chetri is playing there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard he's also
like 40-year-old Sunil Chetri is playing.
Yeah, so we've got a few like big names in there to be honest. So it's kind of cool. But I think definitely the best one there is by far Woo Young-jung. I don't even know what he's doing in the Asian.
Isn't the PSG midfielder as well playing for Korea?
Huh?
Didn't the PSG midfielder, I forgot his name. Lee Kang-in. Yeah. Isn't he playing for the U23 as well? Because if Korea win, he'll be exempt from military service. So it's very important for Korea.
It's listen, guys, watch the yeah, I think he did play. I think he played against
Yeah,
Bahrain.
he's in squad. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, he
But he's 22 to be fair, so he's not counted as an overaged player.
exactly. But I mean, hey, there's some big game players or big players in general playing in these Asian games. So that's why you should watch the Asian games.
Yes, definitely. Now the women's tournament, we haven't gone. It's not completely done yet with the group stages, but I'll go through the groups anyways. In Group A, China are on 3 points. Uzbekistan on 3 points as well. Mongolia on 0 points, and they've been eliminated. Iran withdrew from the tournament, so they're not participating.
Is there
In
any
Group B,
why?
what? They just didn't have the funds, I think, to send the team to the tournament, which is disappointing. Group B, Chinese Taipei, 3 points, Thailand 3 points, India eliminated with 0 points. Group C, North Korea, another group with two teams, North Korea and Singapore in this group. They're going to play two games against each other. The first game has been played, and North Korea won 7-0 against Singapore. So it's looking like Singapore have no chance to qualify. Group D, Japan and Vietnam both won both two games, and they're both going to advance to the knockout stages. Nepal and Bangladesh eliminated. And finally, in Group E, South Korea won both their games and qualified to the next round. Philippines and Myanmar both on 3 points. Either of them could qualify for the next round, and Hong Kong are eliminated. So yeah, that's it for the Asian Games. Now let's move on to something we actually forgot to cover last time, the Club World Cup draw, which is going to be held in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia at the end of the year, has been held. The first match will be Al Ittihad, the hosts, against the Auckland City of New Zealand. And if they win that game, they'll take on if Al Ittihad win that game, they'll take on Al Ahly of Egypt in the second round, and Urawa Red Diamonds, the Asian defending champions, will take on Club Leon of Mexico. And the winner of match two, which is the possible Al Ittihad game, if they win, they'll take on the Libertadores winners. And Urawa Red Diamonds, if they win against Lyon, they'll take on Manchester City in the semifinals. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think any Asian team stands a chance of maybe getting to the final?
No.
No?
No.
I think Al Ittihad could,
You
to be
think so?
honest. I mean, yeah, Auckland City, Al Ahly, then the Libertadores winners. I mean, it doesn't seem that hard. And with the quality that they have right now, Kante, Benzema,
Maybe actually.
Jota, and all these guys, I
I'll,
think they can. And their host as well. We can't forget that.
yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. They definitely. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, it's football, right?
Hmm.
Any of these teams, from Auckland City to Club Leon, whoever it is, they can all go ahead and
It's 3 games. You
yeah.
win 3 games, you win the whole tournament.
But it's gonna be very hard for teams like Al Ittihad and Urawa Red Diamonds to play against, Al Ahly and stuff. Al Ahly is always a tough team to play against.
Yeah, they may not have many foreign players, but they're basically the Egyptian national team at this point.
Yeah, basically. So it's gonna be hard for sure, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But hey, football is football, right? So anything can happen.
Yeah, I'll see when Al Ittihad play Man City in the final.
All right. Well, if that happens, I'll give you your congratulations. I'll give you your props.
Okay, now moving on to the AFC Champions League. Finally, the Asian Champions League has started, and what it started was, I'll go through the games right now. Pakhtakor hosted Al Ain in Group B, and they lost 3-0. Very, very good performance by Al Ain. And what a player Kojo Laba is, the Togo national team player, played very well against Pakhtakor. Ahal, the Turkmenistan side, beat a team from Saudi Arabia 1-0. Even though Al Fayha are one of the weaker Saudi sides, still a massive result for Turkmen football. In Group B, Nasaf Qarshi beat Al Faisali in Amman International Stadium. And I want to give props to the Jordanese fans. They filled out the stadium, and the crowd was looking very, very good. They got Nasaf got a 97th minute winner by Abdurrahmatov. So they won 1-0. And Assad won the game. Assad did not win, actually. They drew 0-0 against Sharjah at home. In Group C, Al Ittihad destroyed AGMK of Uzbekistan 3-0, and Sepahan traveled to Erbil for their game against Air Force Club. That game ended 2-2 with Ali Jassim having a fantastic performance. We saw him at the U20 Asian Cup and at the World Cup as well. He played really well here as well. He bagged a brace. I think it was the first teenager since 5 or 6 years ago to get a brace at the Champions League. In Group D, Al Hilal shockingly only managed to scrape a draw against Navbahor. Al Bulai came to rescue with a 100th-minute header. A bit of controversy there, as 13 minutes of extra time were given.
I don't agree
And
with that. I don't agree with those 13 minutes or 14 minutes. Where the hell did that come from?
I think they're trying to embrace the World Cup style of additional time to make the games more exciting. But
And
yeah,
also, Neymar should have probably been sent off for what he did.
He should have. He should have. It was a very disappointing performance by Neymar. He lost the ball like 32 times, I believe. So, yeah. Navbahor, they played really well. I have to give my props to them. No one expected them to get even a point from this game, and they defended very, very well. And then Nasaji, the debutants, beat Mumbai City in India 2-0. Erfan, Hoseiny, and Azadi getting the goals for Nasaji. They currently top the group, which is interesting. I mean, just looking at the table, you have Nasaj, then Al Hilal. It's funny to see that.
Really funny.
Yeah. And then in Group E, final group of the Western groups, Al Nassr won against Persepolis in Tehran in an empty Azadi Stadium because of a very weird ban that Persepolis got 2 years ago. Ronaldo did not score, but Esmaili Fire scored an own goal, as well as Mohammad Qasim, who got his first goal for the club with an amazing left-footed finish. Esteklol held on to a draw against Qataria Duhail in Dushanbe. Now moving on to the eastern side, Jambak Hyanda got a 2-1 win against Kichi. Mikhail scored a very good goal for Kichi, but it wasn't enough for them. Lion City Sailors lost 1-2 at home to Bangkok United of Thailand. In Group G, Yokohama Marinos, in probably one of the matches of the week, lost 2-4 to Incheon United. Kaya Iloyo of Philippines lost 1-3 to Shandong Taishan of China. And I want to talk about that game. The game was hosted in Manila, and the stadium looked very, very amateur and unprofessional. And the lighting was horrible as well. So I hope they improve on that for future games. Buriram United beat Chinese side Zhejiang 4-1, a very, very good win and performance by them. Melbourne City failed to beat the second division.
Yes, my team.
Japanese side Brentford Tofu. I think you want to talk about that.
Bro, listen, I wanted to wake up and watch the game. It was way too early in the morning. I failed. Okay, I put an alarm on, and I slept through it. So unfortunately, I did not get.
But you preferred sleep at the end, did you?
Yeah, but thank God I did because the game finished 0-0. But listen, this is a great result for a second-tier team.
Hello?
Hello? Yo.
Arya?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay.
Hell, okay, I was.
I'll let that part out. Go
on. Let's go ahead. Yo, we have 10 minutes left. Okay, we need to rush.
Okay, quick.
So yeah, listen, it's a good thing. I slept through the game. I wanted to watch it, but it ended 0-0. It's a very good result for a second, tier side to go ahead and tie against Melbourne City, which are giants in the A League in Australia. It's really good.
And yeah, they dominated the game as well. To be honest, I saw that game. They were playing very, very well.
But other than that, I mean, from all the results you said, I'm disappointed in Persepolis with how bad the pitch was. Torabi got injured, thank God. And then for me, I think the standout was definitely, and this is my opinion, some will disagree, some will not. I think Al Hilal versus Navbahor. I watched the full.
The results aren't done yet, by the way. There's more games. I have to.
But was, for me, it was probably the standout game for sure.
Yeah, very good game and very good performance by Navbahor there. And now in Group I, Ulsan Hyundai beat BG Pathlon of Thailand 3-1. Martin Adam got the first hat-trick of this season's Champions League. The Hungary international scored 3. JDT of Malaysia lost 1-0 to Kawasaki. They played actually very good. They did not deserve to lose the game, but as we've seen, when you don't take your chances, that's what's going to happen. And Marquinhos' 45th minute goal was enough for Kawasaki to take the 3 points home. And then finally in Group J, Wuhan Three Towns drew against the defending champions Urawa 2-2. Jose Cante equalized for Urawa in the 94th minute to get a point from China. And then Hanoi FC of Vietnam, they scored 2 against Pohang Steelers, but they conceded 4 as well. And the 3-time Asian champions won that game 4-2. So yeah, exciting times. Asian Champions League is well and truly on. I'm very excited for the rest of the games.
Yeah, I agree. What I wanted to say is let's move on to the AFC Cup. I'm going to go through these very, very quickly because there's a lot of games to cover here, guys. So I'm not going to go through the groups. I'm literally just going to tell you guys the teams that played and the scoreline. Al Zawra played against Al Arabi. Al Arabi won the game 2-1. Al Ahad from, I believe, Lebanon played against Al Nahda. They won 2-1. Jabal Al Mukaber against Al Futowa 1-0 for Jabal Al Mukaber's team. And Al Nejmeh played against Al Rifa. Al Rifa won the game 2-0. And then Mazia played against Basharin Kings, which I believe are an Indian side, if I'm not mistaken. No, Bangladesh, sorry. A Bangladesh team. Mazia 3-1. And then Odisha FC, which are an Indian side, lost 4-0 to another Indian team, Mohun Bagan, which was a very weird thing to see. I thought Odisha would do better, to be honest. A 0-0 game between Al Kahraba and Kuwait SC. Al Wehdat winning 2-0 against Al Etihad, not the Saudi Arabian Al Etihad. So not
Syrian one, yeah.
And then we had Stalin Laguna FC against Bali United. A great performance by Bali United, winning 5-2. And then Terengganu winning 1-0 against Central Coast Mariners. Very, very...
Wow. Just the downfall of Australian clubs is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Australian sides, but they have not had a good,
good start to the campaign, yeah.
This campaign, yeah. And then Ulaanbaatar of Mongolia winning 3-1 against Tainan City. And I believe you tweeted about this game. I think you were very impressed with how Ulaanbaatar played. Chao Pak against Chaichung Futuro. Chaichung Futuro winning 1-0. Abdish Atta against Alten Asir. Abdish Atta winning 3-0. Cebu FC of the Philippines losing 3-0 to Phnom Penh of Vietnam. Haiphong versus Makassar. Haiphong won 3-0. Sabah FC against Hugang United FC. Sabah FC won 3-1. MacArthur FC, here's another Australian side, won 3-0 against Shan United. So there we go. Finally thing. And then last but not least, a 0-0 draw between Nafshan Kulob and I don't even know how to pronounce this team. Merwi? What the hell?
Merv, I think it is. Merv from Turkey.
I've literally never heard of this team, to be completely honest.
FC Mari. We'll just go with that. FC Mari of Turkmenistan.
Yeah.
And just to remember you guys, this is the last edition of the AFC Cup before it shifts to the new format, which is going to be three tiers in the club competitions. The AFC Champions League Elite, 24 teams. The AFC Champions League 2, which is still a very weird name, with 32 teams. And then finally, the AFC Challenge League with 20 teams. Okay, so the U17 Women's Asian Cup qualifiers took place. I'll just go through who qualified. Indonesia as host got an automatic bye, as well as Japan, North Korea, and China. And the top 3 from last edition. And the teams that qualified from the qualifiers were in Group A, South Korea and Thailand qualified. India and Iran did not. And in Group B, Australia and Philippines. And Vietnam and Bangladesh missed out. So yeah, our final 8 teams of the tournament are Indonesia, Japan, North Korea, China, South Korea, Thailand, Australia, and the Philippines. And just a reminder that these are the qualifiers for the Women's U17 World Cup. I think we covered everything. Did we, Arya?
Yes, sir. We've got the Under-17 World Cup draw that happened a few weeks ago, but we're gonna go through that later on because it's a pretty big event and we need to talk a little bit more in depth about that. So that has been it. This has been, like I said, a very heavy episode. So we appreciate all of you guys that are still listening. Shout out to you guys. It's been a great episode to record.
Much love.
A lot has been going on and a lot will be coming in the future as well. We are very excited to continue with this. You know, we've been wanting to do this podcast for a very, very long time, and for it to finally, you know, being, well, I think, like I said, we're in the seventh episode as for now. We're close to 10, which is very cool, and may it continue for a long time.
Hopefully.
So yeah, I don't have anything else to say. All I want to say is that Sepahan is finished. They're a terrible club, and yeah, hopefully Ventford Kofu can win the Champions League.
Just imagine that happens.
That would be insane. So yeah, Erfan, is there anything you want to say?
No, yeah, thank you guys again for listening to this point. Like Arya said, it's a long episode, so we appreciate it if you're still here, and have a good day, guys. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.